So, welcome new followers, new audience to Nothing's Off Limits.
The show where we hold nothing back.
And I guess nothing's off limits.
Well, my name is Egypt, and I want to welcome myself and my beautiful co-host. We have Miss Serenity over there, live in Georgia, and Miss Beautiful Zane from wherever she is. Today, we're just going to dive right into our first podcast. This first episode is basically an introduction of who we are and why we decided to start the platform. And then we're going to follow that up with a brief topic with kind of related to what's going on in the world right now in regards to basically our nation is on fire. And we're just going to do a little sidebar off of that. So, do you guys want me to start or
Sure.
introduce themselves first? Well, Egypt on the show. Most people just call me E, and that's fine. That's perfectly fine. This is probably the second podcast that I've done. I said even though I told you this about 5 minutes ago not to say during the show. But it's cool. It's cool. We got to get our stuff together. You know, you don't always gel perfectly on the first run with a new co-host. Anywho, I'm the mother of, I'm going to say four, because I do have I don't want to call him a stepson, but he's not biologically mine. But I have four sons. I am a master's degree student. Mass communications was my field. Currently, I'm in sales. I put nurses in jobs. Other than that, there's not a whole lot about me. I'm straight laced. I shoot it how it is. I'm a fire sign. I'm definitely a Sagittarius, and I'm all about fun. And that's pretty much it. I just bring the energy. Miss Serenity, what you got?
Well, hello. I am a mother of three, and my third one is also like Egypt, that she's not biologically mine, but she's still mine. And so it's one boy and two girls, and they both are fire. Both girls, fire, feisty the little girls. Oh boy. And right now I'm living in Georgia. It's tough because I'm definitely a true Floridian at heart. So being landlocked is difficult to say the least. And I'm currently still a student, getting my degrees, trying to better myself so I can, just pursue what I want to pursue in life versus having to do what other people want me to do in life. And I'm also a fire sign, and it shows in my whole personality. And I just feel like I'm just like to have a good time, and just you know I'm always just myself all the time. I'm brutally myself, and sometimes it's a good thing, and then sometimes it's a bad thing. You just it's give and take. You just never know. Little Zane.
Little baby. Little baby.
Little
So
baby.
I am the little baby. Little baby. I am the wild child of the crew. I am the bad decision maker. You want to get drunk? I'm who you go to because that's what I do. Um, Born and raised in Louisville, Kentucky. I'm proud to be from Louisville. I am a Louisville Cardinals fan till the day I die. Oops. Um, um,
Likes her sports.
yeah, I love sports. I have my bachelor's as a nurse. I am a psychiatric nurse. I have been a nurse for 6 years now. I have been traveling for almost 5 years under the lovely Egypt. That's how we met. Um, I am unapologetically me. I don't apologize for who I am. I say what I want to say. Very blunt at times, even though people tell me I shouldn't say what I say. But
Hey,
that's just me. I'm still young. I'm learning.
hey,
I have
sometimes you got to do
kids.
what you got to do.
I have no kids. I have a bunch of god babies who I love dearly, and that's me.
Awesome. So that's pretty much the crew, and we're gonna just kind of dive into why we even decided to do a podcast. But just reading, a lot of times nowadays, group texts are very popular among us. I have maybe 2 or 3 group texts, and sometimes you just get to the point like, damn, this is funky, this is flowing. Maybe we can make a whole show out of it. And so one day we woke up and we was like, y'all want to do a show?
Right, let's actually do it and not just talk about it.
And me, I have the tendency. I'm the type of person who will have a great idea, but I won't always back it up. Luckily, I'll have people like these two lovely ladies. Naja, she was just like, "Yo, I set up the platform. You ready?" Wait, what?
I was like, I thought we for real doing this thing, right? I'm like,
He's like, oh, let's talk about the beat. Let's do this. Boom, boom, boom.
right. Like,
Like,
hey,
for real? I thought it was just kind of throwing the idea around or whatever.
Yeah.
So, that's my personality. Just have an idea, but sometimes I'm a little too flighty to actually put stuff into motion. Which is why you have to have a perfect village. Like, you have to have an idea person. You have to have a person who put things in motion. If you don't have all these pieces, then nothing will ever get done. So, any of you two have any input on us getting started with this podcast?
I mean, that's pretty much what it was. Like, I know I even made a post on Facebook about it. Like, if y'all read the things that we write, y'all would just die. Like, I was like, and then that's when we were like, yeah, we should just make a podcast about it. So, I mean,
That was in March.
right. It was. Like, it was way back, but, it takes time to build, and then we got to come up with all the ideas, everything behind it. But I mean, we here now. We made it. We made it happen.
Coming from March, we really made it happen. If we just like say in March, like, hey, let's do it, and it's June, so
right.
June. So I'd say we did pretty good on staying steadfast.
Right. I mean, and then also, that's right when the pandemic hit, so that kind of like put a little damper in things.
Absolutely.
So otherwise,
it's kind of like our personality. Like, you can have a lot of good conversation, but I'll say the good thing about the dynamic of our group is we're not yes men. We're not afraid to challenge each other. We're not afraid to be like, no, I don't agree, or
right.
yes, I agree, and it's still all it always be love.
Right.
I'll say the two fire signs, me and Naja, we're way more passionate. Jasmine's kind of like our little.
She's like she's.
Oh, everything is great.
She's the Sweden. She's the Sweden of the group.
I'm Sweden. I have my opinions, but I'm definitely Sweden because them two. Oh, Jesus.
We're like Russia and the U.S., and then she's Sweden.
Most definitely. But at the end of the day, it's all love.
Right.
You need yes men around you. I want to be around females who are going to challenge me and to decipher, more ideas. Like, if you're just having someone always saying, "Oh, that's such a great idea," like, how the hell are you gonna grow?
That's true.
Yeah.
So I definitely appreciate our dynamic, and I thought it was a good combination to bring us all together and try to get some things out there, talk about all types of shit.
Right.
And honest, we didn't really intend for today to be a heavy show, but the signs of the times is certain things that we really need to delve into. So instead of like,
right,
who gives the best head or something like that, we're going, in a different direction, another direction.
Right.
That'd be a good show, though.
That's for another episode. So make sure y'all follow so y'all can be there when we do that show.
So I mean, let's delve right into kind of what we do. As you guys know, our nation is really like physically on fire. People are fed up. People have actually been fed up with the racial disparities that go on in this country. And we've pretty much reached a boiling point where the youth are mad, companies are mad. It don't help that we all been locked indoors, so that's just making people even more mad. Like, I'm sitting here in this goddamn building and I can't do nothing else but be mad. So everybody's upset. Right. So what we kind of wanted to kind of go into today for today's show is to kind of foster back to the beginning. Like, how are you discussing with the youth racial issues? Like, how do you explain to your children what it means to be black or white in this country? or anywhere in between. Most of us are mixed race. But as you know, not all of us here are mothers, but Jasmine, of course, she has younger siblings, and she also, has some other children that she has in her life. So I kind of wanted to just have a discussion about how we are forming those conversations with our children, and we both have different dynamics. So just dive right in, guys. Tell me, how are you having this discussion with your children?
Well, me personally, because I have racially ambiguous children, and then living in a place like Georgia where a lot of the cities are predominantly black, and they've dealt with it in school where people will tell them that they're not black, that that they're white or they're Mexican or whatever, and it really frustrates them because they're like, I am black. I might not look the typical black or whatever, but I am black. And especially my daughter, she's very like me. She's very feisty. So whatever she feels, she feels it greatly. So when she comes home and she's like, these kids are telling me I'm not black and I know I am, it really makes me mad. And I'm like, you know who you are. All you can do is try to educate people and let them understand that yes, you might be light skinned, yes, you are Hispanic, but you are also, your race is black, because Hispanic is just an ethnicity. It's not a race. So your ancestors are black. So regardless if you don't stereotypically look at, hold true to who you are. If you feel like that's who you are and that's who you are, then own it. Nobody can take that away from you. All you can do is just try to help educate other kids because they probably don't know. And even if they don't agree with you, it's still who you are. Nobody can ever take away your identity and how you see yourself and how you are. You know your ancestry.
Right.
I'm like, she's like, at this point, I feel like I need to walk around with like a picture of you or my grandpa like on me so people can see like these are my ancestors. So I am. And then right now with that going on, and then so close because we live on the outskirts of Atlanta, where they were doing a lot of the rioting and a lot of the protesting, tearing up the CNN sign and all that kind of stuff. They're quarantined still. We still are quarantining to an extent, so they really haven't seen it firsthand. Like, but they can see it through social media, and they understand what's going on, and they understand why they're doing it. And my little militant daughter, she ready to be out there too, because she's like, I'm sick of it too. Regardless of how I feel like I'm personally treated, it doesn't matter. This is bigger than myself. And she she tells me all day long she arguing with people on the internet, trying to school them about race and everything. And I like all I could do is just be proud that she knows who she is and she's not scared to fight for her people and you know lay down whatever it is. She don't care if she gets attacked. She's like, no, what you're not going to do today is down my race of people. What you're not going to do today is shit all over this movement. Like, I don't care what you say. So I really didn't even need to have a conversation with them. They came to me and had the conversation like, I seen this online and I'm mad about this. I seen that and this is how I feel about it. So, and then it was just like, dang, okay, they pretty woke for being teenagers.
Before this time even came up, like before this specific controversy that we have right now, have you had conversations with them in the past in regards to race? Like,
Yeah.
how did you start them off?
Yeah, I mean, of course, I had to. When we lived in Tampa, we lived in a more predominantly white neighborhood. We were pretty much the only black folks in that neighborhood. And so I had to let them know you guys can't just be wilding out and doing anything you want, because they grew up in the same neighborhood I grew up in. And we grew up having them our neighbor call the police on us all the time for any little thing. Like our neighbor would call the police on us because they said the music was too loud. They would call the police on us for anything they felt like we were doing that was quote unquote disruptive. So I had to let them know, like, this is how they see you. Like, you could just be doing the same thing as everybody else in this neighborhood, every other kid in this neighborhood, but because of how you look and who your family is, they'll call the police on you in a heartbeat with no qualms as the fact of your age. Like, so I had to let them know that from when they could, from the point that where they could actually understand, what it means to be black, or what race is. And it is actually kind of sad because it's like they kind of understand, but then at a point they don't actually understand either, because they are still kids and they have that innocence. So it's hard to explain to like a 7-year old that if you go outside and you roughhousing with maybe your little white friend, they might call the police on you thinking that you beating that kid up. So you can't really do that.
Probably can't even fight.
Right. Even if y'all are just playing. Right. And it'd be like, you can't take anything that looks like a gun and play with it outside, because they might call the police. Well, they probably will, because like I said, my neighbor called the police on us about music. So I mean, it's guaranteed, so I told them, like, you can't do those things. Like, you have to be more thoughtful on the way you do things in this neighborhood.
It's funny you mentioned innocence, because I have 4 sons, which is crazy in itself.
Right.
Can't believe it.
that kind of makes me go back to the gender reveal and my reaction, but we're not even going to talk about that. But having 4 sons, 4 black sons at this time, it's just like, man, I really have to explain to them that, like, you're different. Like, I know right now, like, when I initially tried to have the first conversation with them in regards to race, they were even younger than they are now. They probably was around 5. And I tried to explain to them what it meant to be black, and they're like, "But I'm not black. I'm brown." I'm like, "I don't mean your actual color, son." He's like, and I tried to explain what white people were. He's like, "Do you mean peach people?" I'm like, "What the hell is a peach person?" They've been calling white people the peach people like forever, and I'm just like you guys are missing what I'm trying to say, but like. Race is definitely something that is not innately in us. It's just something that is learned. It's definitely a learned behavior. And have to have that discussion with them. I feel like I take away their innocence, but at the same time, I can't send them out there unequipped.
Right. I mean, you have to do it.
You have no choice at this point.
Right.
Yeah. It's a service to you at this point to not tell you
right.
who the hell you are and what the hell they think you are.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
You need to know.
Right.
I'll start off with a funny story. So I grew up in Louisville is a mix, but I grew up in a predominantly white neighborhood. And my mom sent me to a Catholic school. Why? I don't know. Good education. I lasted a year. But I had, until that point, I didn't, like everybody else, I didn't see color, because to me, everybody was everybody. But my mom had to tell me, like, not everybody that you go to school with is going to like you because of your color. But funny, I went to school and told the teachers that my mom was white. Because I didn't know. Because to me, she wasn't the same complexion as me. She's not the same complexion as anybody else in my family. She's gonna kill me for that. So I told them that she's white. So they're looking for this white lady to pick me up after school. And here comes my mama, this black lady. And they're like, "You must be the nanny or something." She's like, so, she had to say, Jasmine, black people come in all different shades. I'm just like, really? Like, because until that point, I had no idea. But then I was able to see the difference. My mom always had to tell me, when you go to school, you show them, you know what you know. She always made sure I realized I don't have to go in and prove myself to them, because I know who I am. And I don't have kids, so with my, especially with my sister, um, she wants to be so much in this world, and I want her to be that. And I tell her all the time, you don't have to prove anything to anybody. You show up, show them who you are, and they're the ones who are going to realize what you are as a black woman, and be proud of that. Um, I do have white kids. I'm kind of married. Anyways, so Jesus, we're just gonna put it like that. Kind of married. I married a white guy who has two white kids. Um, to them, and with him as well, it was, realizing like race is a big issue. Like there are certain things I can't do, and teaching them that like we can't do type of things, or I don't feel comfortable in certain situations. Like going to a family member's house who has a Confederate flag, and I'm teaching his kids what the Confederate flag means and why it's important that we move away from that. And he's just looking at me like, what the? But they didn't really understand. And to them, they didn't they were still innocent. So to them, I was just my normal name. I was just Jasmine. They didn't see me as this black girl because they had never really saw that. But I knew people when we were together saw that I was a black woman, and they always looked at us weird. So having those conversations and realizing like when I'm walking his little 5-year-old daughter down the street, and it's just me and her, and she's talking to me, people automatically assume, oh, you must be the babysitter, oh, you must be this. And she's like, no, that's my stepmama. And just, she got upset from the way they treated me because she understood that too. Like, what? Even though she didn't know that was because of my color that they were looking at me like that. So it's always been about realizing that that racism does exist, and that you can be proud of who you are. And I am a black woman, and I'm proud of that. So teaching them that type of stuff, and especially teaching my sister that as a black woman, you can be whatever you want to be. Do not let what other people say about black women hinder on what you're going to be. Like that whole stereotype. So that's always been the biggest thing for me.
Now, since you have had the opportunity to have both a white child and a black child in your life in the capacity of you being in a place of wisdom, do you feel like it's important to teach both of them about race, or was it more important to teach your sister, less important to teach your stepdaughter? Like, and why? Why did you teach them anything differently?
I think it's different because I taught both of them about it, but I think as my sister, the way the world sees us, the way the world sees black people, especially black women, I think it was more important for me to uplift her and acknowledge that these are the stereotypes, these are the bad things people see about us, but here's how you go out into this world and put all the naysayers down to the ground. Like you don't allow them to um, knock you down. And as for my white stepkids, it was acknowledging that racism is real and is alive, and talking to them about as a white person, how do you become an ally? Because I mean, at the end of the day, they're still gonna be white. I'm still gonna be black. But how do they become an ally? And when somebody says something about having a black stepmama, how do you approach that?
Mm.
You know, I don't think their mama will ever look at this, but she looked at me different because I was a black woman. And the things they said to her about me was always good stuff because she assumed that because I was a black woman, I had to be this certain type of way.
Yeah.
So I always appreciated that. So I think that was like the biggest difference. Like just trying to tell my sister, no matter, she's always gonna be a black woman. It's always how they're gonna see her, but uplifting her to know that whatever she wants in this world, she can get it.
Okay. Yeah, I think the big takeaway is that I am huge on the idea that it's going to be the youth that leads the revolution and change in this country. As you can see, they're the ones out there setting shit on fire. And
call it what you will. And it's not all of them. Let's not get it twisted. Most of them are not setting shit on fire. They are simply trying to be heard. Like, yo, like what's up? What's going on? Like, enough is enough. Y'all killing us, not just our black men. Y'all killing black women. Like, we're dying out here and we're tired of it. And we need y'all to hear what's going on. And I didn't want to go too far into any sidebars about companies and shit, but I know it has mostly to do about money, but I'm glad to see that there's value, that people are starting to see the value in the black dollar. Like, your money spent, it goes a long way, because these companies are finally saying, okay, you know what? You're right. Black lives matter.
Well, Ben and Jerry's always been woke, though. Ben and Jerry's not extreme.
Right.
Ben and Jerry's has always been woke.
Yeah, because one thing I noticed, like a common trend, was that most people were more, it seemed like they were more upset about the buildings being set on fire. And it's like, you guys are more outraged for these companies than these companies are outraged. Like, these companies are literally chilling right now. Like, it's fine. Our people are paid. We're gonna make sure they're paid. We can always rebuild. We will do what we have to do, but we're also standing in solidarity with the black community. Like, you guys, I'm like, the consumers need to stop using that as a scapegoat, because just to, denounce something. Like, don't use outrage for companies who don't even care about you, as to try to channel your outrage, because at the end of the day they proved you wrong, because they were standing with them. They're standing with the protesters. They're not worried about these buildings while y'all are worried about them. Like, they're not worried about them. So it's like, what are you really mad about then? Truly, are you mad because we speaking up and we not taking the shit anymore, and we're not doing this little peaceful protest no more? Like how they keep trying to show that picture of Martin, talking about he did peaceful marching. Yeah, and then they also didn't show what happened right after they did that peaceful march. Right. They didn't show the dogs getting sicked on the protesters peacefully walking down the street. They didn't show them being hosed, maced, beaten. Like, they didn't show all those things, but y'all want to show them interlocking arms, peacefully marching. Like, if you're going to talk about one part of the march, talk about the other part of the march.
The entire experience.
Right. Because that's important too. And then, like you said, and then they killed the man. And the government even got sued by his family and won, because they actually were a part of killing him. So it's like, and then who went to jail for killing him? Where's the justice? But y'all want to talk about people peacefully protesting. Kaepernick tried that, and what happened? Y'all booted him out of the NFL.
Everybody turned on this man, the entire league. Now he's trying to cut back, like, oh, maybe we were wrong. We were wrong. Like, that's what you call a peaceful protest,
right?
But what he learned the kneeling from a veteran. This was no regular person,
and a white veteran at that.
He said, instead of sitting down, how about you kneel, because that's what we do. So it was peaceful, but y'all made excuses. But hey,
it's because people like to do that whole thing where they try to minimize what you're doing and try to make it something else. They try to say he was disrespecting They're trying to say, him kneeling is disrespecting the flag, it's disrespecting the anthem, it's disrespecting the soldiers. I'm like, literally, it had nothing to do with any of those things. Like, why y'all mad while this man that served in the military, that went to war, was the one that gave him the idea and wanted him to do that on his platform?
Right.
Like, that's my whole thing. I'm like, y'all try to, create these fake little things to be outraged. Like, people always try to create their own little lies in their head to be outraged about. And it's like, just be real. Just be outraged because you hate the fact that this black man is not listening to you. Just say that. Because that's really what it boils down to. Because we've seen during this time all these white folks show their true colors, where they're saying, see, this would have never happened if they were still slaves. This would have never happened. That's what y'all really want to say, but y'all not bold enough to say it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It, it's so funny that you said that. Just to kind of tie it back into the youth. I like to go to my oldest biological son, little Fred, because he gives me real answers. So
Okay.
I specifically asked him. I said, "What do you think about racial issues right now? Do you know what it means to be black or white?" And he's just like, Mom, sometimes I think we should just go back to the country that we were born in. I want to say something. We were born here, but whatever. I know what you mean. I was like, well, why do you feel that way? Are you afraid? He's like, no, I'm not afraid. It's just that a lot of times, like black people get blamed for stuff that either that we do or that white people do, but I'm not afraid. I just feel like one day they might try to revert back to slavery and we'll be slaves again. And I'm like, I hate that you feel that way, that we can fall that far back down the wrong. But to be honest with you, we are not that far removed from slavery, for one, and for two, this here is still so locked in because of everything that's going on, um, financially, politically, economically, medically. Like we might as well still be.
Right.
Yeah.
So
I mean, but like you said, and this is why the young people are leading this revolution,
They
and
are the
I feel
future.
like it's gonna reverberate throughout these years coming. Like
yeah,
this is like big, you know what I mean? Like I don't there's so many changes that's happened in this short period of time. Like all these Confederate things that have been up for years have been getting taken down. Like companies looking at, are they really diverse? And even posting, what the percentages they have in their company and saying that they're going to do more to be more diverse and to do all this extra training and to try to restructure. So I'm like, we're already starting to feel the changes, and all we I feel like we have to do is just keep on the gas pedal pretty much. We got to
yeah.
keep the pedal to the metal. We can't ease up. We can't just be like, oh, they gave us an inch, so let's calm down. Like,
Let's
no.
calm
I
down.
want the whole
The
thing.
celebrities have said, they all spoken their piece, and everyone's on one love train, and we're all moving forward. It's a lot to fix, and it's not going to be fixed in 1 month, not in 1 year. We're talking about an entire history based on racism and inequality. So no, a small trend is not going to fix that.
Oh,
Like we need real change, and we need people who are going to stay steadfast in that change. Most of us, let's keep it 1,000. Like most of us are so comfortable that we're really not that upset. If it wasn't for the social media and the media like telling you to be upset, like you just be like still chilling, like doing what you do.
Yeah.
But like we can't be fake mad no more.
right.
Like that's done. Like even our white counterparts, y'all can't be fake mad either. Like if you with the change, be with the change and make serious changes in this society. Like, are we gonna keep this train like really moving forward, or are we gonna just keep sitting back, comfortable how things are because it's been this way for so long? It's time for a change.
Right. Past
So
time.
it's obvious that this topic can go in various different directions.
So many ways.
Right.
But we're going to continue that. This is what you got to feel for today. That's how we are in our conversations when we talk to each other in text. And it's going to continue to go like that. But unfortunately, this is the end of today's show.
Right.
So before we end the show, I wanted, and we all wanted, to wish a heavenly 27th birthday to Breonna Taylor. Breonna Taylor would have been 27 today, or yesterday, excuse
Yesterday.
me.
Mm-hmm.
And she was senselessly murdered by the police in my hometown of Louisville, Kentucky. And we want you all to remember to continue to say her name.
Right.
Y'all, there have been no arrests. There have been the police that had something to do with that have not been fired. Nothing. There have been absolutely nothing on her case. So we want to continue to say her name. We wanted to continue to go out there and fight for her, just like we fight for our black men. We got to fight for our black women because that's all we got. So I'm I appreciate everybody coming in and talking to us and listening. Make sure you subscribe
subscribe.
Right.
Make sure you continue to watch us. We'll be back next
Right.
week for another episode. Who knows where we're going then?
Make sure you follow us on all social media platforms. Like we have Twitter at No Limit Squad, Instagram nothings.off.limits, and then of course Facebook. You can search Nothing's Off Limits, so we can continue this conversation offline. And any questions that you guys have, feel free to leave it on any one of those platforms, and we'll film something on our YouTube and answer those. So make sure that you stay tuned for the YouTube link as well. So, and also if you really want to rewatch this episode as well or share it, you can do that off of our YouTube, okay?
Absolutely. So until next time, No Limit Squad.
Hey,
let me see
no-
the shots, baby.
Hey,
Cheers, baby.
Cheers to our new No Limit Squad. We appreciate y'all. Peace.
Peace.